This is the Wheel of Time Spoilers podcast.
Speaking of brain pretzels and things that we really can't answer one way or the other, but we can certainly speculate about, who is Nakomi?
Excellent segue.
Thank you. Thank you.
That was professional.
But yeah, so this is the chapter, right? Like we see a little bit of Nakomi later when she's whispering to Rand as he's doing the body switch, right? We're told that's Nakomi too.
I may have missed that meta memo, possibly.
She's the one, remember when she's like, yes, that's the right thing. You have to do that. And he's like, okay, and then switches bodies.
Yeah, I just kind of memory hold that line because it made no sense.
It made no sense, right? But that is supposed to also be Nakomi, right? That's supposed to be this person as well, right? So she's guiding them in two places.
So this is not her only appearance.
No.
Even though this is her only extremely obvious appearance.
Yeah, the other one's more of a voice appearance, and, you could argue. Okay. I mean, we can start with what we were told recently about Nakomi.
Okay, all right. Enlighten me. I have no idea what we were told. Tell me.
Okay, so Brandon Sanderson, for the 10-year anniversary of this book being released, said, I will tell you what Nakomi is supposed to be.
Oh, is this in the same info dump where he told us that Lanfear's really alive still?
Yes.
Okay, I did hear about this, but I don't remember the answer, so continue to tell me.
She is the avatar of the creator, in the same way that Shadar Haran is the avatar of the Dark One. She is able to act as a voice and a personage who can speak for the creator, right? And is in some way contained by his presence. So that was the intention of the author.
Huh. I do vaguely remember reading that, and yeah, 10 years ago my reaction was, huh. Or not 10 years ago, but 2 years ago, whenever he gave us that news, whatever it was.
And obviously she existed as a person before she became the avatar, right? And so she was, in fact, one of the Gen Aiel.
Kind of like Shadar Haran was a Murdral and
exactly.
then got tapped and made into something more.
Exactly.
She was a Gen who was, okay, all right.
Who was tapped, right? So, and I do remember, my speculation has always been she's Gen, right? She's obviously Gen Aiel between what she says,
that's
obviously.
That's not even speculation.
Right.
That's just on the page.
Just on the page, right? And so then the question is, how is she still alive, right? Because we were told the Gen died a long time ago.
And she's clearly not doing an Eyes to Die 3,000 years of, or power channeler, like, yeah.
Right. And so there's, and we should talk about those lines as we get to them. But reading what I'm reading, I've always thought that this scene happens in the world of dreams, right?
Yeah, I thought that's pretty obvious, yeah.
I actually am revising my opinion on this reread.
Oh.
I think that what we have is a situation where Nakomi has the same power that Rand gets when he lights the pipe. The ability to manipulate reality in ways that are helpful and good. And
dreamy.
Dreamy and feel like the world of dreams. And so we sit down and there's a moment where Aviendha may or may not fall asleep, right? We can get there. But I think for the rest of, you can either say she falls asleep and the rest of it happens in the world of dreams, or Nakomi is manipulating the real world. But something is manipulating what's going on around them. The reason why I don't necessarily think she fell asleep is the ending. Because in the ending, she gets up, she looks around, she's gone, she sits back down, she continues her meal, and there doesn't seem to be any moment where I can say she woke up.
Okay, well, we'll talk about it.
But we'll talk about it, yeah.
I'm going to ponder that as we actually get through the chapter, because that's... Yeah, I'm not going to have a snap reaction to that. I'm gonna let that cook.
That's totally fair. Yeah. So this is on my read through. I'm going to bring forward evidence to support the various dream versus Nakomi is manipulating the real world.
Okay. And then we're just giving her, she is canonically the avatar of the creator. Clearly spends a lot less time doing that than Shadar Haran, but whatever.
Right.
It's fine.
Right.
Okay. That's
Now, my favorite theory about her, before I was told that she was who she was, is that she was a Gen Aiel who was somehow put in the stasis that was Ruidian. Remember, Ruidian was outside of the world of dreams, right? And so she can't channel, but she could be a dreamer. She could be a Wise One dreamer. And she could somehow have been preserved by Ruidian and the dome.
Like she was just in the mists or something.
She was in the mists type situation, right? She was part of the mists.
So when Rand and Asmodean broke all of that, she kind of reincarnated, so to speak, or recorporealized.
Exactly. Yeah. And so sort of, and became in some ways, an avatar. And because she's the Gen, because like the last we saw of them was during this moment when the Aes Sedai were locking away all of these items, right? So I'm trying to think of some way that like, and as a dreamer, she could have been in the dream somehow in the dream in the flesh in Ruidian.
Sure. Yeah. Because Ruidian was a very special, unique thing. So we can handwave a lot of special, unique stuff into that. I am curious why the wandering people in the desert are the only ones that God talks to.
Yeah.
That's pinging for me.
You mean the 13th tribe?
Yeah, the lost 13th tribe are the only ones that God has a message to about how to make the new world a better place.
After they wander in the desert for a long time?
Yeah, and after the end of the world, they are going to help lead a better age?
Future?
I'm curious that no other nation or culture or people merited a visitor from God. It's just interesting that it's only these people, and I'm fine with it being only Aviendha because she's cool, but like I don't know, Shadowhuron got around a lot more, a lot of different factions that Shadowhuron was manipulating. I'm just curious why good God is more selective than bad God.
Because how else do an analogy for the Jewish people if you don't?
I guess it's not a problem so much as just we are not doing a trope subversion here. We're just doing the canon.
I mean, Rand is Jesus in so many ways.
I'm just saying we're going for consistency rather than patchwork.
He literally comes back to life after 3 days at the end of the series.
I know.
Brandon did not go subtle on the biblical references.
Well, Jordan didn't go subtle.
No. I will say the one thing about Jordan is I think he was more well balanced.
Yeah, which is I guess maybe kind of why this is pinging for me. Is like I feel like if we want to try to be more than just the Mormon fanfic of the Bible is the real true version, I needed other cultures than the wandering 13th tribe in the desert to be talked to by God directly on a mountain. Like literally she's on the side of a mountain. And God comes and talks to her with a special fire.
Yeah.
Like, we're doing a bit of Moses here.
She literally pulls a bush out of her backpack and has a burning bush going on in the fire. Yeah, it's a little on the nose. You're right.
I could have used the sea folk having something similar and it being like, a deep cut on a Polynesian myth. I could have used a little bit more if Sanderson wanted to get away from just doing the Christian fanfic for the 11 billionth time. Oh well, it's fine. It's what he chose to do. Mm-hmm. Should I read us in to the chapter that we've been talking about for like 15 minutes?
Let's go through it in order as opposed to in total.
Okay. Chapter 39, In the Threefold Land, and our symbol is the Aiel spears for reasons that should be obvious. Aviendha felt right again. There was a calming perfection to the Threefold Land. Wetlanders thought the landscape's uniform colors drab, but Aviendha found them beautiful. Simple browns and tans. They were familiar and dependable, not like the wetlands, where both the landscape and the weather were different every time you turned around. Aviendha ran forward in the darkening night, each foot falling on dusty ground. For the first time in many months, she felt alone. In the wetlands, she always felt as if she was being watched by some enemy she could not see or attack. Scene set. And I already have an issue with his writing here. Immediately.
Yeah, go for it.
In book 5, 6, somewhere back there, I don't remember which book, one of the Supergirls, I think it's Elaine, thinks about how, maybe it's Egwene, someone thinks about how the Threefold Land, no, it's Nynaeve. Nynaeve's thinking about how the Threefold Land always looks the same. I think it must be there in the dream or something. And she's like, it just all looks the same. And then she thinks, but she'd heard maidens say the same of the wetlands, that the wetlands all looked the same. And here, Sanderson is saying, no, the Threefold Land is all the same. And Aiel absolutely recognized all of the varied differences in the wetlands. And I'm just like, my dude, my dude, please get out of your head and into the head of the actual people that you're writing.
Right. They have 100 different names for different kinds of sands, whereas the wetlanders see it as just sand. Right. And vice versa.
And they see all trees as trees.
Right. With no variation.
All water that flows across the surface is a river. Right? Like there's just Sanderson's writing like a white man.
He is not as good at perspective. I think that's one of the things that I see in these books is that it's all from Sanderson's perspective. It's not from...
Because the thing is, Jordan was a white man too, and he wrote the line about how Aiel see the wetlands totally different than the...
Yeah. I'm not even sure I want to call it by the fact that he's a white man, so much as the fact that he's not as good at perspective writing. He just isn't as good at getting in characters' heads. He never has been.
That's what I'm saying. It's like it's clearly not the white, because if Jordan is as much a white man as Sanderson, but yeah, it's in his perspective. I feel like I'm with Sanderson, whereas Jordan, I genuinely only felt like I knew Jordan by my 10th reread. Was I actually meeting the man behind all the characters? Whereas Sanderson, I'm like, hello, you're right here. You're in my face.
It's like when I realized almost all of the references to women's bosoms were from Matt's POVs, and all the references to dresses were from women's POVs, and like the way he talks, the way these characters talk about other characters depends on their POV and their preferences and the things that they notice first. And Jordan is so good at writing that, and Sanderson writes from this omnipotent narrator perspective, where, yes, he can see the character's thoughts, but he also sees everything else going on, and he's telling it from the narrator's perspective, not the character's perspective.
Yeah.
And I think that was also something that George R.R. Martin, right, never finished his fucking books, but he wrote really good perspectives. Every chapter started with that character's name, and whatever he told from that character's perspective, and he was very, very good at that, and I respected the hell out of it. And I think that's why he and Jordan were... I call them contemporaries, not because I think they wrote similar stories, but because they both wrote incredibly good POV narratives.
Well, they're also literally contemporary.
Well, yes.
Timeline-wise.
Right.
But yeah, they are very paired in that way. They're writing in a lot of the same, not the same color palette, but like the same like concept of oil paints.
Right.
They're both oil painters.
Right.
Even if they're using different color palettes, because, man, Martin and Jordan, very different worldviews, but like there is a certain texture. Because I mean, yeah, I read the first few Game of Thrones books before I decided I hated the world and bounced. But you're right. Every perspective was very much, it started out telling you who it was, and then it stayed in that voice until the next chapter, and then it switched, and it was very easy to feel like I was in a different person's head. I eventually hated all of their heads, so I left. But like, that's
totally
beside
fair.
the point.
And in a lot of ways, that's what made Martin so remarkable, is that he wrote characters that weren't always likable. And it was this like, oh yeah, these nuanced characters that like you're not gonna love because they're terrible people sometimes. And that was, I think, a reaction to something like Jordan, which was something like the idea that, yes, you're in these people's heads, but they're all good people. They're all trying to do their best.
Right, yeah, no, Jordan was writing a much more classically Tolkien-style hero.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so anyway, it's, as Marzipan said, Sanderson's Avienda feels kind of alien compared to Jordan's Avienda. We didn't get that many Avienda POVs, but it's not as egregious as the Matt transition, but it kind of reminds me of the Matt transition of like, we're just in different boots altogether.
This feels like this chapter was written by Elaine after being told about it by Avienda.
Oh, I like that. This is Elaine's recollection of Avienda's story as told to Loyal.
Right.
Because Loyal's interviewing Elaine, and so she's relating this story because Avienda's like busy or whatever, and Loyal really needs that interview this day. So he's like, fine, near sister and close enough. Just tell me. I am going with that interpretation. I like it. Because all these books are written by Loyal. We know that.
Well, yeah. Yeah, this like, people didn't sweat enough in the wetlands. I'm like, dude, people still sweat in the wetlands.
Okay, well, I did like that because of the, I'm sure our Scandinavians in the audience here could back me up, the Finnish tradition of sauna.
Sure. The no sweat tents, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of cultural and medical evidence that doing sweat lodge, sweat tent type stuff is actually much, much healthier. And when you think about how Randland the basic Tolkien Shire classic England situation, those were filthy people who bathed but once a year, right? These were the germ-ridden nonsense people who poisoned 2 continents with their farts. So I kind of dig the idea that there's people who know how to like actually clean themselves and be healthy. And then there's these disease-riddled city dwellers. Like, yes, we're post-apocalyptic in such a way that like the concept of germ theory and indoor plumbing does still exist in some pockets. But Jordan was drawing off of like, you know, an early colonial period for a lot of his initial Randland cultures. So, I mean, you look at their historical parallels, their lack of doing sweat tents is actually, it's a solid burn, I think. I don't like saunas, to be clear, because I hate being overheated. It's like a whole sensory thing for me. I have done saunas. I know what I'm missing out on. But yeah, I was like, I mean, these are probably some filthy cities that she's been seeing. You know, Cairhien and Abu Dar and Camelin. Like, they're probably kind of filthy compared to, you know, her world.
I do. The only way I like sauna is if I can do cold, hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, right? If I have something cold that I can plunge into.
Oh, I mean, that's the only way to do it, for sure. For sure. When I got taught how to do it, it was a stream-fed, like, pool thing. It was like a built-up, like, hot tub style thing out of an old wine barrel, I think. But it was just a creek that was flowing in and then out again. And yeah, it was shocking, amazing, exhilarating. I'm fine never doing it again. I know what I'm missing out on. It's fine.
My wife has enjoyed many a hot spring that pop up around here.
Oh, yeah, the hot pool and then the cold pool. I do, if they're both naturally occurring, it does feel wrong to do one and not the other.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, rolling in snow. I've never done it where there was snow to roll in, but I could see that being amazing, flinging your hot body just into a snowbank.
I used to, when I was swimming, I'd get so hot and overheated from swimming that the pool wasn't enough to keep me cool, and I'd run out, and this is winter because it's a winter sport, and I would occasionally run out in my Speedo into the snowbank.
Like, give me hypothermia!
Literally grab handfuls of snow and rub it on my naked body, and I'd steam. I'd have so much heat coming off of me, and I'm a notoriously hot person, right? It's one of the reasons I swam instead of doing a lot of other sports is because I would overheat so easily that I literally would collapse from running outside. Like, I couldn't do it. Like, I don't know what it is about me. I think I'm just a dense little, nugget or whatever.
You're a marine mammal built for northern climes.
Yeah. Maybe I was born in Nova Scotia, so maybe I acclimated to the colder weather as a baby or something. I've heard all sorts of theories. Whatever it is, I generate a shit ton of heat, and I need water cooling if I'm going to be doing a sport.
Yeah, no, I cannot deal with heat. I've always run hot. I have so much childhood trauma around being overheated. And I was born in the Willamette Valley, so I don't know how to explain that. But it's just, nope, my thermostat is not my friend.
I spent 3 years in Texas and where they didn't, water? You don't need water. You're fine. Yeah. Water breaks were regulated. It's
amazing we lived through our childhoods, I swear.
I know. It's ridiculous. I mean, you tell kids now that my access to water was restricted as a kid in 100-degree weather, and they're just like, oh my God. You would have people standing at the water fountains counting 1, 2, 3, next.
That's messed up.
Yeah. And water bottles were forbidden. And I didn't see a water bottle until I was in high school, and then it was just one girl carrying it, and everyone was like, is she allowed to do that?
Wow. That's different from now. Back to
Avienda. Yeah, she made her camp at the side of a tremendous stone. Not really a mountaintop, but sort of a stone behind
I sort of assumed it was on a slope of a mountain. I don't know why. I just imagined the overhang cliff thing.
Mm-hmm.
I editorialize visually a lot.
She's eating a shellback. I assume it's just like a crab.
Where's the crab going to find water? I assumed it was a turtle.
Where's a turtle going to find water?
Well, turtles are desert creatures a lot of times. Or tortoises?
I would assume a tortoise, yeah.
I'm not clear on the difference between the two. I'm not that kind of a nerd. But I don't see desert crabs being a thing.
I like shellback better, yeah. Well, I mean, scorpion, right? I mean, there are shelled creatures that live...
Oh, yeah. They are all arachnids, but they've taken very different evolutionary paths.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, tortoises are the land-dwelling ones. Thank you, Fuji. Yeah, so I assumed it was a tortoise. I assumed it was a desert tortoise. I'm not entirely sure if there are desert tortoises, but that was what I assumed it was.
I think for me, reading Sanderson's work, where like everything's crabs.
Sure, fair. All our return to crabs. This is true.
The
Carcanization of Sanderson's universe. I guess it could also be an armadillo. If we're thinking about creatures that live in dry environments and are good at conserving water and are shelly, could be an armadillo.
And meaty.
Yeah. Hunted by people for food.
I like armadillo. I think that's what I want to go with.
Sure.
Sure.
Why not?
Yeah, whatever.
I mean, I'm sure that the Endangered Species Act need not apply in the Threefold Land, you know? Like, it makes me cringe because I know how it works in the real world, but I'm sure it's fine for the IU.
And so a lot of this thought and everything sort of comes to a head right before she sits down, where she says, each day in the wetlands made them weaker. Her people would need to return to the Threefold Land. She herself was an excellent example. She had grown soft there. How could one not grow soft in that place? Right? And this central idea, right? This is why she's thinking about enjoying dresses and sweat and baths instead of sweat tents, and being like, I've enjoyed all these things and that's making me weak. And so we need to get back to the Threefold Land is sort of where she's going into this conversation.
Got to go back to nature because of this modern decadence. She's really flirting with going all trad IU here.
Luddite. Which actually Luddites were more given a bad name because they were just unionists.
Dude, I was literally lecturing my mom on this like an hour and a half ago because Luddites came up on the podcast, the Use to Sew podcast, and I was being like, oh yeah, did you know actually the blah, blah, blah. Because the Luddites were actually particularly focused on weaving technology. It was looms. That was like one of the major focus. So it's relevant to the whole Use to Sew story. But yes, Luddites were actually, there's a great podcast from cool people who did cool stuff called How the Luddites Almost Saved Us All. It's a really cool history of the Luddites and also like a fun sort of speculative, like if they had succeeded, if their goals had actually been achieved, this is how everything about the Industrial Revolution would have been different and how that would change the world today. And it's just like, yeah, using them as a pejorative term is very inaccurate. They were on the money. It's a lot.
In the same way that we look at AI and go, hey, we don't want AI to just benefit people at the top so that they make more money and we're all unemployed. We would like AI to benefit everybody. And so we want to pass some regulation so that when AI does become this thing that happens, you can't just get rid of people's jobs and you actually have to share the wealth with them and allow people to work less if they can use AI to make their job better. And like, we'd like to pass something that does that. And that's kind of what the Luddites wanted to do, only with weaving technology, to say, hey, this technology is coming along.
Because of the mechanization, taking away cottage industries and regular artisanal labor. And
It's like, instead of putting us out of work, we would like a share in the profits. And for that, everyone said, oh, we're going to villainize you and make you seem like you're idiots who hate technology and have no desire to ever work on the future and are holding back the future. When in reality, they just wanted to, not be unemployed.
Yeah, they wanted progress to be for everyone, not just the wealthy few. But no, they're just a butt of a joke now.
So, after thinking all this, Avienda settled back and closed her eyes for a moment, letting the day's fatigue melt away. And I think there's a very real argument to be made that in that moment, she falls asleep. And everything that follows is in the world of dreams.
That's how I have interpreted it, for sure.
I have interpreted it up to this point. But again, at the end of this chapter, there's no point that I could find where she would, quote unquote, wake up.
Well, I always just figured she went back to sleep within the dream and then woke up in the morning.
Later. Totally possible, right? So that is certainly a possibility to consider going forward.
I like your interpretation better, though. It's more fun. She has the Rand power. She has the power of the dream in the real world because more tapped into the creator power. I don't know. That is more fun and satisfying to me.
And it fits what we've been told by the author.
Which is a loose end to have tied up, which I do like.
Okay. So a sound came from outside her camp. Avienda opened her eyes and jumped up, embracing the source. Whether you think she's jumping up here in this moment in the world of dreams or, just in the real world, she's opening her eyes and jumping up, right? Like, the thing that makes me think it's not necessarily the world of dreams is she had to weave a globe of light, and the woman is standing in the darkness nearby. We know in the world of dreams, everything's lit up evenly. The light comes from nowhere, but the light is everywhere.
Unless it's like a dream, Teleron Riyadh has that, but if she was in like a dream that this woman was invading, there could be different lighting rules.
So that's also that could be where she is. That they're not in Teleron Riyadh, they're just in Avienda's dream.
Yeah.
I think that's also.
Yeah.
And this is a dream walker.
Right, that's a possibility, but it would mean that she had to bring Avienda into her dream or that she entered Avienda's dream, both of which are more complicated endeavors and sets of skills. Not that I'm sure she's very skilled. I'm sure she's extremely skilled, but it is more work.
And that would mean that we never necessarily see her in the real world because we only hear her voice in Rand's head. So this could be somebody, again, who existed in Ruidian in Teleron Riyadh and has never necessarily crossed back over into the real world.
Right. Avienda also has this thought that she's pleased that she reached for the power instead of her spears, which I thought was an interesting parallel to what Egwene has been going through with reaching for the one power versus reaching for the dream, right? And using the dream power. And it's just like, yeah, everyone's upgrading their skill set. It's not about one power being better, one kind of weapon being better. It's about broadening your arsenal and changing your reflexes. And they're both going through that arc.
Okay, so descriptions of Nakomi. Dark skirt, tan blouse, and a shawl, right? Kerchief on her graying hair. Typical wise one clothing. She had furrowed skin, right? So we know she's not ageless. And she could not channel. Avienda could sense that easily. So these are the important parts. So she's definitely not an Aes Sedai. Probably not a wise one who can channel. Possibly a wise one who's a dreamwalker.
Yeah, she even doesn't necessarily read as a wise one. She's just wearing normal clothing, and then she addresses Avienda as a wise one, being very respectful. Like, she's not having the bearing of a wise one, even though she has some of the clothes and the general age gravitas. She's acting more like a regular Aiel citizen rather than someone with a particular status, which I think probably is reflective of how the Gen's culture probably was less like socially stratified and the roles were less set compared to what Avienda's dealing with. Because, right, the Gen are a different branch of the family.
Right. But she talks like an Aiel, right?
Yeah,
She's no doubt an Aiel, right? This is, may I share water with you, finding honor. Like, there's no doubt this is someone who's an Aiel. But she has no weapons, right? That's pointed out.
She has no weapons. She doesn't carry herself like a wise one. She's not dressed like a warrior in any way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she was middle-aged and she carried no weapons.
Yeah. And she keeps deferring to Avienda like she's a wise one, which no wise one would ever do. But again, it's like the Gen probably had a very different structure of who wise ones were, right? Because they died out near the beginning of the Aiel's culture really developing into what it is, right? Avienda is 3,000 years or 2,500 years deep into something that was, just barely forming when Nakomi's people, faded from the earth.
Right, and they've been gone. Do we know exactly when they faded? Because, like, when the last of them were around during the creation of Ruidian.
Yeah, the very, very first vision that Rand has is when they're meeting at Ruidian to make the agreement, and there is still 2 Aes Sedai that are, like, cold with how old they are. Right, they have blankets across their laps because their circulation is so poor. In a farther back in the timeline vision, one of his ancestors sees an Aes Sedai who talks about how there's somehow there's a mention of the founding of Tar Valon farther back. So I've always figured it's like about 500 years after the breaking. Like, some Aes Sedai are still managing to hold on because they don't have the binders yet, right? Like, really powerful Aes Sedai could live to be like 800 years old. So if you had like a 200-year-old Aes Sedai when the breaking happened, she could still be alive 500 years later with the Aiel taking care of her. So yeah, I think technically the Gen have been gone for closer to 2,500 years rather than 3,000 years.
Agreed. But thousands of years, right? We're not talking about...
Yeah. Definitely too long for her to have lived through natural means.
Exactly.
There is some wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey, spacey-bendy.
Even as a channeler, right?
Yes.
Which she's not. Yeah. So, then there's a couple of things where she pours Avienda's water into the tea kettle and goes... And it feels like she doesn't use it. It's like tiny little water skin fills up the tea kettle. Wait a minute. Doesn't feel like there's enough water.
The fire builds up extra fast. The shellback cooks extra fast. And also, Nakomi's asking some very ritual feeling questions, right? She shows up, she like is like, let me pour you some tea, and then she's asking, was your apprenticeship long? Are you from the ones who went west? What do you think? And there's just this sense of like testing you and like getting you into giving the real answer. I don't know. I feel like every question she asks is preparing Aviendha to come to the conclusion that she's ultimately going to guide her into. It's all leading questions. Like Nakomi knows where she's guiding this conversation from the jump.
And can we talk about what she pulls out of her backpack? A teapot, some branches to build up the flame, some roots, a pan to cook the roots. It's like
a ceramic cooking pot.
Yeah, it's like, how much stuff is she pulling out of this pack?
Like, okay, Mary Poppins.
Yeah, exactly. So just little hints that maybe that she can pull out of the back whatever she needs.
It makes no sense for her to have material possessions if she's a recently reconstituted wisp of a ghost. It makes sense that she can just manipulate the fabric of reality to be what she needs, rather than that she literally found a supply pack that hasn't destroyed itself, or she went to a hold and snuck some other... No, she's just manipulating the threads of reality. Or we're in a dream space where you're effectively manipulating the threads of reality.
Exactly. Right. Either way, like, I feel like those are the two sides, right? Either way, she's manipulating the reality around them, whether it's in a dream world or whether... And again, part of me that thinks that it's now part of the real world and she's manipulating it is that Aviendha gets fed. Aviendha drinks the water. If it was in the dream, I don't think that would have happened.
Yeah, that was also one of my thoughts, is that she really has a lot of thoughts that hinge around the deliciousness of the food and the eating of the food. And I'm just like, dream food isn't real. It feels satisfying. Like, I know that you can feel satisfied by dream food, but I don't think that it's allowed to have the same cosmological impact if it's just fake fae food. In order for it to like mean something to her revelation, I think it needs to be realer. And so yeah, it makes me like the idea that this is in the real world, because then the food is real.
And yet something about Nakomi makes me think she's never been to the wetlands.
Oh, absolutely not.
Right? Tell me, are the wetlands as glorious as many say? Rivers so wide you cannot see the other side. Plants so full of water they burst when squeezed. She's, I think, genuinely asking, like, I have never been to the wetlands.
No, those are the kinds of myths that the Aiel have when we first meet them in, like, book 2. Like, that's how they were approaching the wetlands. Like, this is, someone who, original Nakomi, was born in Ruidian as it was getting built and never got to leave. And she's never seen the wetlands. She is the epitome of the Aiel pre-contact with the wetlands headspace.
And then she pulls out Aviendha's favorite, like, mother cooked root and like just happens to have the
it tastes just like her mom made it. And I'm like, okay, that's a spirit guardian for sure. This is a divine messenger of some variety.
The fire has more coals than it should have all of a sudden because she needs those coals to cook the roots better, right? Like, reality is changing around this woman, like, without a doubt.
And the food is cooking faster. Like, it's just, no. And it's doing all the things necessary to put Aviendha into a receptive state of mind for a big ol' brain pretzel twist.
Which is basically by saying, we as a people, right, there's this original sin. There's this mythos of the Aiel. They sinned. They were sent to the threefold land to be punished, to be prepared for the fight in the last battle, right? But then you pair that with Ji'ito and the fact that whenever you commit penance for something, you then have to forget and forgive the sin. And so if you go back to the threefold land, are you not just continuing to be punished for something that is absolved? Are you not being arrogant, right? We've seen that over and over again, where if someone continues to ask to be punished after everyone else is like, dude, you've done your penance, they're seen as arrogant and trying to get too much G and to get one up prideful. Thank you. That's the right word. Yeah. And so Nakomi is basically making Aviendha see returning to the threefold land as a prideful thing to do rather than a good thing to do for the people.
Right. Which I agree. The Aiel have a very specific culture for a very specific purpose. And to go back to that after they successfully fulfill their mission would be so demeaning of the entire point. Right. And like, they no longer, I think Ruark says it, right? Like,
have blood feuds with these people. And if we go back to the way we were, I'm going to have to kill friends who I've become close with in this battle. I don't want to go back to a feuding tribal society. That doesn't make sense for them. And to survive in the waste, you need to be a tribal feuding society.
Yeah, so maybe you've earned the right to take on the new hazards of the wetlands. And I also love how she turns around the whole like thing of if the wetlands are so soft, why did we need the better part of 2,500 years getting our asses beat by the waste
to get ready for
maybe the wetlands are in fact just as terrible and dangerous of a place as anywhere else, and the concept of softness is weird and silly and useless in actually navigating what it means to be a person in the world.
And it's just cultural differences that you see as soft. Like baths versus sweat tents.
Exactly. Like they're not soft.
One's not better than the other, despite your argument earlier in the podcast.
Well, actual bathing is fine. Bathing once a year and not understanding germ theory is not fine. And saunas are better if you don't have germ theory. But yeah, it's the idea that wearing silk is bad. It's just like, what cultural chauvinism is that? That's silly. But it's also like an important question to wrestle with of like, what does it mean if we've actually paid our restitution? What does it mean if we've actually fulfilled our toll? What does that mean? You've spent thousands of years shaping yourself around that. You can't just flip a switch and know what you're doing with yourself after. This takes thought. This is going to take a council of elders wrestling with it for a generation just to get anywhere. I mean, yeah, we got the dragon's piece, but like that is top level management. The actual rubber meets the road application is going to take a generation or two just to figure out.
Okay, and then back to the question of who is Nakomi, right? Because Avienda asks a question. She says, tell me, Nakomi, where is it you travel? Which sept is your own? And we get this cryptic response. I am far from my roof, the woman said, wistful, yet not far at all. Perhaps it is far from me. I cannot answer your question, apprentice, for it is not my place to give this truth.
So cryptic.
I am far from my roof, yet not far at all. So, I mean, again, if we talk about Ruidian as her roof, right? Physically, she's not far from it. But temporally, she's thousands of years removed from her home.
Exactly. Geographically, pretty close. But everyone she's known and loved is long since blown away to dust.
Right. Perhaps it is far from me. It is far in the past, is kind of how I interpret that.
But also in the future, because the wheel of time turns.
Sure. And then I cannot answer your question, apprentice, for it is not my place to give this truth.
It's giving Brigida and the precepts in Telerenriad.
Sure. Right. Who set those rules?
Who's enforcing those rules?
The creator. It has to be.
Yeah, no, it sounds like God stuff. It sounds like divine cosmic truths that are at the level of physics for their immovableness.
When you act like, why has the creator not intervened? It's like, I mean, I think the Horn of Lear might be the creator intervening, right? Those are his, whose champions? His champions.
The light's champions.
The light's champions, the champions of the creator, right? Blowing that horn is summoning the champions of the light and summoning the aid of the creator. Which, you know, is Nakomi somehow, then there was the theory, right? Is Nakomi somehow a hero of the horn?
Who's tied geographically to this area, so the horn blew, and she's just been chilling for the last 18 months.
Right. So, I mean, we can look, when we're done here, I want to go back through the Nakomi theory section of the wiki and talk about a few of those that we missed. But yeah, Hero of the Horn is definitely also one of those possibilities of why is this person who's clearly Jen Aiel come back in the future? Well, if she's linked to the horn was blown. She could be, you know, in the world of dreams, summoned back. Or she could be, you know, a hero who's violating the precepts, right? This is also, if she's in the world of dreams, is she one of those heroes who's hanging out in the world of dreams, who's doing like Brigida, but maybe with permission and breaking the precepts with permission from the creator?
Right, because it's okay if you're talking to Mary Magdalene the night before the execution.
Right.
I guess.
So yeah, a little more about the argument about, you know, the Aiel can meet their toe through fighting the last battle. Then they have to figure out what to do next.
Yeah. Not that you have to stay in the wetlands or go back to the threefold land, but you have to choose a new path. You can't wind the clock back. Whatever you're doing, it has to be a moving forward. And, Avienda on the brink of being a wise one, that's probably going to be the central question for her in the next generation or two of wise ones, which, she will live to see because she's a channeler who's not bound by the oath rod. Yeah, wrestling with this as like the opening thesis statement of her career as a wise one it's a solid move.
And so Nakomi feeds Avienda. I just noticed this for the first time. Avienda realizes how delicious the food was. Nakomi says, "If you'll excuse me, I need to see to nature." Which on one level, on a surface level, sounds like, oh, I have to go pee.
Right. That's what she is implying.
But read the words literally. I need to go see to nature. I need to go take care of the natural world. If she's the one who's in somehow part of the creator, who's controlling God. She's literally God. She has to go see to nature, all of nature.
I need to go back to tending the garden that is the world.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I mean, the way she talks is so old-timey and elegant, and it sounds like a god trying to play human.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it a lot. I am still a little confused by only Desert Mary Magdalene gets to talk to God, but it's fine. I like it so much better than
Sanderson's Mormon. That's all the explanation you need.
And that's fine, because I like that this is something different than regular Teleron Riyadh stuff. I like that this is the closest we get to a parallel of Rand and the Pipe. That It feels a lot more narratively satisfying than she just had a really vivid experience in Teleron Riyadh.
And to me, that brings it full circle. This foreshadows Rand's abilities, right? The ability to...
Which apparently she's there to help him go through that transition, so it really ties together.
It really ties together, yeah. And so, essentially, this scene was created by Brandon Sanderson to give context to the scene where someone talks to Rand, right? Because Jordan wrote that. Jordan wrote that someone talks to Rand in the transition. He hears a woman's voice. And so Sanderson created Nakomi and this scene to help give context to that scene that Jordan wrote.
Okay. That's important metacognitive structural load-bearing reasons to make the headcanon fit where it fits.
Yes. So he has said that part of the reason why, because he doesn't know who that woman is. And so he created Nakomi to be that woman because Jordan didn't explain it in his notes.
Okay. Good for him.
In some ways, we can say Nakomi is this avatar creator because that's who Sanderson says she is, and he's an author. On the other hand, we can also be like, you know what? Nakomi doesn't have to be that because Jordan didn't define what Nakomi or what that woman was at the end of the series who talks.
Yeah, no, I am firmly okay with everything Sanderson wrote simply being a higher grade of fanfic that is much more malleable, whereas the canon that I have to make my stuff conform to is what Jordan wrote, except for where I decide that Jordan was also wrong. But like, mainly to do with lesbians. I allow myself that as a treat.
It's possible that Jordan may not have been an expert on lesbians.
It is possible.
It is possible.
But I do feel like when we have Sanderson saying, this is me bridging the gaps that Jordan left me, it is worth knowing what the original structural stuff is and what the bridging material is. And yeah, if we want to go with the your mileage may vary, then yeah, I'm okay with Sanderson's stuff being a little more open to interpretation. But, I think he did a good job not leaving us totally hanging. If there had just been that voice with no explanatory chapter, that would have sucked. We did need something like this for all the holes that were poking in it. Like, we needed something. We needed someone to be that voice, whether or not he was correct.
Right. And I definitely have always thought this person was Jen Aiel, which he does confirm, right? Originally, like, that is very obvious from the context clues.
Oh, yeah.
And so I've never had a problem with that. Adding on the avatar of the creator, she was going to be something else. That's fine. It's not my favorite explanation, but it fits what he wrote.
Yeah, she's something unique.
Yes.
She's definitely something unique. You can come up with a handful of different things, that being one of them. She is singular in terms of supernatural characters that we've interacted with.
She's the Tom Bombadil of this story.
Yes. Yes, Nakomi Bombadil. That's what we're going with. Tom Comey.
So yeah, Avienda, waits for her to come back from seeing to nature.
Yeah, she'll be at that for a minute.
Yeah. And when she gets up and looks for her, doesn't find her, but when she comes back, all of her stuff is gone. Uh-huh. Again, like, that stuff never existed in the first place.
But also she ate a real meal.
Right.
She doesn't wake up gnawing hunger pains because she imagined the whole meal. Like, so this is complicated. It's tricky.
Upon returning to the fire, right, she saw Nakomi's pack and plate were gone. She waited up for time, but the woman did not return. Eventually, Avienda went to sleep, feeling troubled. So if you're saying she's in the world of dreams, you're saying she went to sleep in the world of dreams.
I've done that myself. I have woken up and gone to sleep in my dreams, definitively.
I still don't think you can do that in the world of dreams, though. I've never seen anyone go to sleep in the world of dreams.
But maybe it's not the world of dreams. Maybe it's her dream that Nakomi had entered.
Fair. Okay. Fair enough.
That's the only way to... Because you're right. Teleron Riyadh has very specific rules. We spend a lot less time with people interacting in their own dreams. So... But yeah, I like the idea that she's got Rand's pipe abilities and she fed Avienda actual food.
That seems to be where I'm coming down on as a final theory.
I like that better. It gives me the warm fuzzies inside, so I'm going with it.
And that's the canon as far as we are aware by the author.
Canon.
So yeah, and this is one of those cases where we agree with what he wrote.
Yeah, Avatar of the Creator or not, I don't think this was a dream. I prefer that this is somehow something that perfectly connects with Rand's pipe. Because Rand is not necessarily the creator's avatar either, but he has the ability to light the pipe with his mind.
And this gives the gen purpose, right? The gen existed so that Nakomi could fix the Aiel after the last battle, right? So that Avienda would change the columns and would come back with this theory and change the peace treaty and make the Aiel what they become, which is the police force of the world. The gen had a purpose. What was that purpose? The gen existed partially to create Ruidian, but partially so that this woman could come back and change the future of the Aiel and become, get them full circle again, right? And like Marzipan says, maybe eventually become pacifists again, go from enforcing the law to enforcing peace to worshiping peace to becoming going back to the gen.
I mean, if they could actually be peacekeepers who will kick your ass to keep the peace, I mean, yeah, that could end up bringing about a much chiller world if they get religiously devoted to I'm only violent when you're violent first, and they just help the world organize itself. That's a really lovely way to imagine that circle connecting back to their original purpose. I also, like, the first time that I read this, and every time I've read it since, I always kind of headcanon that Nakomi volunteered to stay behind somehow in the creation of the dome. They were like, okay, we have like so many dreamwalkers and, we're all going to die and blah, blah, blah. But we want someone to, or maybe multiple someones to stay behind in the mists. And, when this phase of the prophecy kicks in, then you can be ghosts and talk to people and make stuff happen. Like there's some sort of, she was not randomly chosen. She volunteered for it because that would just be even more tragically Jen, right? To be like, yeah, I'll live with the existential dread of still being awake while everyone else is long dead. I'll do it for our people. I'll do it for our descendants. It's entirely heart canon on my part, but I just like the idea that she's so Jen that she chose this. But that's just me. With that, I think we've hit the end of the chapter, which means we have some theories about Nakomi to talk about.
Yes. All right, so just basically before the Sanderson reveal, there was, of course, a set of theories. And some of these are...
So after the books came out, but before he gave that 10-year reveal dump.
Exactly. Okay. Exactly. Those 10 years where we had speculation, right? And so some of these I find ridiculous, right? Some of these I feel like we can dismiss from the context of the book, right?
She's not a Tyran High Lady, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Right. So the first one says, an Aes Sedai from the Age of Legends.
Nah.
Right, so one of those Aes Sedai who was there for the building of Ruidian, maybe she used the portal stones to go to a different world where time moved differently, maybe a different Terran Grial, but we know she can't channel canonically. And assuming she's not masking, right? We're going to dismiss, like, that is possible for all of these, but we're assuming she's not masking her ability in that moment, right?
Sure. Yeah, that's just too many twists. We can't handle it. Our brains will explode.
That's just too ridiculous to be like, why would she even hide her ability to channel from Avienda? Like, I can't find any reason for that. So, yeah, but she would not have the ageless face if she was from the Age of Legends. She wouldn't have sworn on the rods. So, possibly.
But she talks like an Aiel. She's got the cultural bearing of an Aiel, not of an Aes Sedai.
Second, an agent of the creator. So that was certainly one of the options that people thought about, right? For all the reasons that...
We've got Shida Haran. We need someone on our side. Sure.
The food tastes really good. She prepares the roots faster, which seems to be the manipulation of physical laws, similar to Rand's ability to light his pipe. There is an agent of the Dark One. A bubble of good. If there's bubble of evils, could there be bubbles of good?
This is very calm for a bubble event, good or evil, but sure, bubble of good is kind of like a inverse Shida Haran. Yeah, why not?
For me, the world is created by the creator, so there wouldn't be a bubble of good because that would just be the bubble of the existence. Evil is corrupting what it already exists. Plus, that's coming out from the Dark One's prison. The creator's not imprisoned. Like, there's just lots of reasons why I don't like that theory.
No, but it's a logical one if you're just fleshing out every single permutation of the logic. I see the argument, even though I don't think it's valid.
A hero of the horn, right? So she closed her eyes. A hero of the horn could be chilling out in Teleron Riyadh, could be breaking the rules just like Brigida Silverbow did.
Or maybe not breaking the rules. Maybe this is what her role as a hero was always meant to be, and this is exactly what she was supposed to do.
And so she could be one of the heroes living in Teleron Riyadh. The horn doesn't even have to be blown, because Avienda could be asleep until, and this could be,
Just like Brigida.
Just like Brigida, right? Coming with that, specifically, they named her as
Amaresu?
Amaresu as a possibility.
Who I believe is a alternate female dragon, if I'm remembering my meta lore correctly.
Yes, you are spot on. That she was in one of the turnings of the wheel, but then she wouldn't be Jen. And it's very obvious this is someone who is Aiel, not someone who existed from a different turning of the wheel to me.
Right, because the Jen exists in a world where the dragon is Luz Theron, not Amaresu.
Yes.
So,
yes.
All right, yeah, mutual exclusion. There we go.
So I don't like that. Jen Aiel, right? That's one of the theories, right?
Just some random Jen, not like an avataric Jen, just an actual Jen.
When a fan, and this is certainly in the official canon, there is a line of, she is not long lived. There is a line of Jen who has survived up to this point, and she is the last living member of.
What?
Yes, that is in the Origins of the Wheel of Time.
No.
Which is canon.
No. Where are they getting their food from? Where are they getting their fresh genetic material from? Absolutely not.
Canonically, Nakomi is the last surviving member of a long line of Jen who lived this whole time since the founding of Rudian for 2,000 years, completely undetected.
I'm putting that with Lanfear is alive. No.
That's kind of, where there's no evidence for that.
No, that just makes no sense. A family is not going to last for thousands of years by themselves undetected and not just die of starvation and inbreeding. Like, no. I don't care how cool the Aiel are. I refuse to believe that.
But the theory is that she is a modern woman who has only recently become the avatar of the creator.
Nah.
At the same time that Shada Haran became the avatar of the Dark One. Because it had to be balanced.
You're telling me that the Aiel who were devoted to the Jen Aiel didn't notice 1,000 of them moving off and hiding in the desert and keeping their gene pool sufficiently open so that way this woman doesn't have 3 legs as she walks up? Like, come on. No.
I'm there with you. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. Maybe somehow they're surviving in Rudian. They have access to water, but like that place was dust covered. Like there's no evidence of a civilization existing.
No. Unless you want to say that they were like stuck in a stasis box that got broken open when Avian or when Asmodean and Rand were like, no, I just, nope. That theory can go into the loony bin.
And with no evidence of her channeling, there's no evidence this woman is older than normal.
Yeah.
Yeah. The final loony theory. This is an avatar of Varen Mathwin. Yeah, I thought you'd respond to that one.
Is there more explanatory material?
Nakomi's knowledge is very similar to what Varen learned in the Great Hunt in a conversation with Urien. The idea that this conversation could have been in Tel'aran'rhiod spouts from the idea that you can pull someone from the dreams into the world of dreams, yada yada. This theory comes with some flaws. It is unclear whether Varen is alive when Nakomi appeared due to the timeline discrepancies between the Gathering Storm of Towers of Midnight, because we really don't know at what point Aviendha is on her journey. We don't have a lot of anchoring things. So this could be this technically could have gone way back in time.
We know that it's before Veins of Gold, because Rand feels her jump far to the west and goes, I wonder what she's doing at Ruidian. And that's before Veins of Gold, right?
You're right. I think he's on the tower thinking about how she's in Ruidian, basically.
Yeah, because she jumps super far to the west or east, and he's just like, I don't know where else she could be other than Ruidian. And that is pre-Veins of Gold, so that gives us a pocket, but not tight enough to square it against Varen's death.
Because Varen dies on the night that the tower is attacked.
Right, which is 2 days or so before Veins of Gold, I think. It's a couple days before. So, yeah. So, in theory, Aviendha is going after Varen has died by a couple days. Yeah, it's a tight pocket.
Close it's pretty close in time. So that's where people are like, oh, maybe it is, maybe,
But Varen's not Aiel. Varen is Farmatting. That's where Varen's from. She has a whole other backstory. I mean, I would love the idea of Varen being more important and having all this, but no, there's nothing about her that makes her overlap with this. That Urian information can just exist.
The theory existed. People wanted it to be Varen. The amount of debunking, the theory is one line. The amount of debunking is 5 paragraphs.
Beautiful. I love us.
Yeah, because there's just no way. There's just no way. I think someone was trying to say maybe the whole Varen's soul is brown, that somehow her soul had a chance to make this correction on its way out was something that people want. It's just no.
She has no basis of information to be this well-grounded in ancient Aiel culture.
And then, and then the last one is maybe it's some wise ones who are trying to give her advice and under the cover of an anonymous.
No, I don't think that that's how the wise ones do these things. Okay, I do like Vuji's counterpoint. Varen knows.
Varen knows, right.
Okay, canonically, this is true. But I don't think she knows this.
So those were and 2 of those theories pretty much nailed it, right? Avatar the Creator, Jen Aiel, right? And she's a combination of those 2.
Yeah, she's a Jen Aiel who has been tapped to be the Avatar of the Creator. That is by far and away the simplest, most coherent, most narratively satisfying way for this to go.
Now, how she survived as Jen Aiel up to this point, I think that is what's open for debate. Because canonically, she's been the last of a long line of Jen who've been surviving in secret.
Which is just wrong.
Which is
just
wrong.
Flat out wrong. So I'm going with some kind of trapped in the mists and broken out with the bindings on Ruidian getting broken out. But Hero of the Horn works too, I guess. Kind of. Yeah. I mean, it's I think you can take from this whatever theory you want, because there is what he said, but that is not in the books. Yes, this is definitely a your mileage may vary kind of situation. Choose your own adventure. Yeah, and if you prefer a different theory, I am all for any of those theories. Some are more ridiculous than others, but I think the Hero of the Horn, Avatar of the Creator, Trapped in Ruidian, Jen Aiel, those are all totally legit theories in various combinations to go with. Yeah, map the distance between those points in that constellation how you will. Mm-hmm. But those points, I think we can easily agree on being relevant and true to what this is doing for the books. Mm-hmm. And and I think really all of this is in the origins of the Wheel of Time. If you want to go back and read that entry for Nakomi, a lot of the information is being pulled from there. Okay. I disagree with it, but that's okay. This is the beauty of having multiple texts in your religion, is you can argue about the discrepancies between them. Yes, I am calling Wheel of Time my religion. Now, come on. It's not a religion. It's a cult. Fair enough. Pedantry is one of our core values. Hashtag not a cult. Yeah, I just keep waiting for Jordan to rise up after 3 decades and finish the series. Well, maybe if we cut ourselves off from all of our friends and family, we can appeal to him sufficiently. Listen, he may not rise up this year, but next year. Definitely next year. Definitely next year. Yeah. Well, that was fun.
That was fun. It's fun to really do a solid bit on Nakomi, because I feel like this is where you have to really discuss, like, what is she? What's her purpose in the story? Why is she created? On one level, I do kind of wish we didn't have that word of Brandon and the origins of the Wheel of Time where we get a definitive answer, because I would have liked to speculate a little more freely, I think. But, you know, his answer, this is one of those where his answer lined up with what I thought. So I'm not going to object too hard about this.
Yeah, we are the arbiters of truth.
Right.
That's how this works. It's my podcast. I can dick what I want to.
I reject your reality and Substat. Yeah. Anything else about this chapter? I think it's a short chapter, but there's lots of speculation there. So we certainly went over the hour.
Yeah, I kind of expected us to take a little bit longer, honestly, but we also agreed on a lot. So
That's true. Yeah.
Light-blighted fool. I think Nakomi is the actual creator and kicked out her deadbeat husband when he wouldn't take out the trash.
Is the dark one just the deadbeat husband who doesn't want to take out the trash? He just wants to pile it up in the world.
Oh my god. And that's where the bubbles of evil are coming from, is the stinking garbage that he wouldn't take out.
He wouldn't take out. It's just rotting stuff. The rotting miasma of the trash that keeps piling up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Attending to nature is taking out the trash.
Well, she deals with the garden outside. He's like that's why he's inside the house with the trash and she's tending the garden, and the walls of the house are the Dark One's prison, and like he has to come out. She's like, you can't come out till you take out the trash. And he's like, I don't want to. So he's pounding at the door.
Yeah.
And then Lanfear drilled that hole, and he kept like throwing trash out the hole because he was like trying to, empty it out that way without leaving the house.
To make it like a whole like family sitcom situation out of this dynamic. No, this was fun. I do like really getting to not say, oh, we'll get to it later. No, here is later. We're here in the later, and we just got to really dig into it, dig through it. I feel like I didn't really like the Nakomi thing this whole time up until getting this amalgamated interpretation kind of hashed out here in this episode, because I always was just like, I don't really get it. I don't see the point. It just feels like some weird angelic fanfic insert, and I kind of still feel like that, but I wasn't quite putting together a cosmology that attached it to the world properly, and I feel like now I have that. I also really did not connect her with the voice at the end with Rand's transfer, because I just have not immersed myself in Words of Brandon 10 years later stuff. Like, it hits my radar, but I don't engage with it, so that is interesting. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like I've learned something and deepened my appreciation of the books today.
I mean, there are 3 questions, right, that were not answered when the series came out. Who was Nakomi? How did Rand light the pipe? And I forget the third one.
Who was the voice? Is that what it is?
That might be it.
I will take no part.
Yeah, I think that is. Who was the voice? How do you light the pipe? And who is Nakomi?
And yeah, this really solidly puts some material into answering 2 of those.
Yeah. And I think that part of the reason why he didn't want to talk about it for so long is that this does kind of help with the how did Rand light the pipe? Is he has the same powers as Nakomi, whatever those powers are, that manipulation of the real world. And it seems to only be for like good things, right? Lighting pipe, cooking food, pouring water, making tea. Like, it's not world-ending, destroying stuff. It's like, oh yeah, feeding yourself and comfort and that level. That's all we've seen it used for. Like, Rand doesn't light a building on fire. He lights his pipe.
Right. He's not like, I'm going to light the entire army on fire. He's like, I just don't want to figure out a flint and steel right now.
Right. It's a peaceful magic, maybe, somehow. I don't know. We have no context for the rules around it, but...
Magic that works in a piece... Maybe it's magic that Genaiel morality works with. It's only for those little comfort things. It can never be used for violence.
You have to be enlightened in that way.
Maybe.
The opposite of the Dark One's power.
Right. Yeah, very much. It's a creative sort of agency.
Mm-hmm. All right, with that, I think I'm out of things to say.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you all so much for listening. And I gotta remind you all, we're doing Dungeon Crawler Car. We're gonna go record the start of book 2 right now. So go listen to that. Okay, bye. Recording is on.
Recording is on.
Let's meet Nakomi.
Nakomi. Oh, I guess I should talk about skiing before we dig into this.
No, we gotta go right to Nakomi. No. Give us your updates.
Yeah, just went skiing this weekend, which was fun. Hit a lucky weekend on the mountain. There hasn't been a lot of good weekends, so I got to go up when it was. The snow was really, really good. We did it for my wife's birthday, not on her birthday, but for her birthday. And yeah, we went down a couple of times. I had a good time. Didn't get hurt. Didn't fall.
That's good.
It was gorgeous outside. Yeah, I highly recommend skiing if you can afford it. It's stupid expensive, but love doing it.
I've never been skiing. I've only been like properly sledding in the mountains like once. I've just never been a snow sport family person. My brother loves snowboarding. He's into snow, but I admire it from afar, which actually not so afar today. There's snow here where I'm at in the Oregon Coast Range. We got half an inch of very wet snow today, and it has still been coming down off and on.
I got lucky that I think growing up, my dad would have conferences in Colorado at various ski resorts. And so work would pay for him to go. I don't know if work would pay for me to go, or if he just had to buy me a ticket, but he already had like a hotel room and everything. I don't know. It was the 80s. They got everything for free back then.
The utopia.
Yeah. So I got to learn to ski in some of the nicest resorts growing up as a kid. And so, it's like learning to ride a bike. Once you know, it doesn't really fade. But I've probably only gone a handful of times as an adult. But I do love it. It is a lot of fun to go flying down a mountain on skis, and yeah, it's a little bit. There's only a few sports where you go that fast and yet you still feel like you're under your control, right? Being on a bicycle, being on skis, right? That level of I'm assuming like tobogganing or whatever. Like there's a few other ones where gravity's doing the thing.
Like hang gliding.
Yeah, and even that I feel like you're. And I guess you're always a little bit under the whims of nature, right? Like the mountain is going to mountain, the wind is going to wind.
Yes.
But man, yeah.
I love watching GoPros of skiers. Like I love the vicarious experience of skiing from the Red Bull GoPro magic stuff. I also love watching videos of avalanches that may or may not have been triggered by skiers. These videos exist, and I generally watch the ones where the people are fine in the end. But yeah, the snow is going to do what it's going to do.
And I mean, resorts are a little bit different, right? Because there's lots of people managing those hills and managing the snow and stuff like that. But
that just means that there's lots of cameras to capture the fuck ups for me to then watch later.
Yeah. And I tell you what, ski lifts always feel like they're the most dangerous. Like I know they're probably statistically very safe, but like the fact that you're going up on a lift hundreds of feet in the air, well, I don't know if it's hundreds, but lots of feet in the air in a seat with nothing in front of you.
I think it's generally not hundreds. It's probably more like dozens.
Dozens, yeah.
I've seen enough videos of people wiping out on or near or around that it's not hundreds. It's definitely dozens.
Depends sometimes on, like, there's occasions where you go like over a ravine or over something where it is, if you fell off at that time, it would be a long, long fall. And so it's always, I don't know, those things terrify me sometimes, but they're fine, right? You get in them, you sit down. I've never fallen out of a chair. Sitting there. So
it's not actually that big of a deal. But yeah, it feels very exposed. It looks very exposed.
And then the added weight of having skis dangling off your feet always feels a little bit like somebody's hanging onto your feet trying to yank you off the lift and pull you off. That's always the sensation I get. Because that's not normal, right? When you're sitting there, even with your feet dangling, you don't have a weight on them.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of like when you have long hair and then you cut it off and then your head feels like it's floating. You feel like your head is being pulled up from the back because you're so used to this weight pulling down, and when it goes away, it literally feels like you're being pulled upward. The same amount. It takes a couple days to kind of wear off. I've done this a couple of times. It's a very weird sensation. It's
like that thing have you ever stood in a doorway and you push your arms against the frame of the wall for like 60 seconds and then you step forward and your arms raise up all on their own?
Oh yeah, totally.
Because you basically train your muscles for like that 60 seconds to expect that resistance, and then when you release it, you relax, but your muscles still raise your arms up and they like float up magically. It's fun.
Silly body tricks.
Well, it's like the same thing at looking at a color and then looking at white and seeing the complementary color.
Right. Yeah,
Right?
totally.
There's this idea that your body gets into homeostasis, and then if you give it the opposite, or if you give it a blank slate, it'll show you the opposite because it's compensating for what it's seeing.
It's quite illuminating, actually. I mean, if you can't understand complementary colors, then yeah, just here you go.
Yeah.
This is complementary colors. It's literally built into how your eyeballs work.
Right. And color is literally just in our eyeballs, right? That's what's so crazy to me is color on some level doesn't exist except through eyes and how we see.
I
now,
mean,
I know there's
frequencies
wavelengths.
of light
Yes.
exist.
Frequency, but at the same time, we see colors that aren't a single frequency of light all the time.
Right. It's like how like rainbows are in the eye of the beholder. Like you need a perspective from which to view a rainbow in order for a rainbow to exist. Without an observer, there is no rainbow. The conditions for a rainbow exist, but like it requires someone to look through the thing in order for all of the mathy stuff to do what it does.
Right. Yeah, sometimes I think that's like there's this whole observer effect that people are debating about in quantum physics. And it's like, does the rainbow exist? If a tree falls in a forest, right, does it make a sound? Like, that's almost what they're debating about at this point.
Except that, like, trees objectively do make noise, whereas rainbows actually need an observer. Because you can see the rainbow from so many different points, and it's going to be the same, right? Like, the rainbow's going to look the same. It's not going to be, like, 7 different rainbows stacked up against each other. Like, each person's seeing their own.
Yeah, rainbows kind of form in a cone, and you have to be at the right spot to see them. But that light's refracting whether or not somebody's there to see it, in the same way that the noise is vibrating atoms whether or not someone's there to hear it. But is it a noise if someone can't interpret it, right? That's the crux of the debate.
It was just circling back around to our numbers invented or discovered the other night. Just to really take it even farther.
Yeah. Basically,
Yeah, no, these philosophical brain pretzels we're not qualified to answer them, but man, are they fun to wrestle with.
Right. They're fun to think about because it is the, like, if you keep asking why, you eventually get to one of these puzzles.
Yeah. And that's true for 5-year-olds and for quantum physicists working on their 8th degree. Like, it all ends up at the same brain pretzels.
Speaking of brain pretzels and things that we really can't answer one way or the other, but we can certainly speculate about, who is Nakomi?
Excellent segue.
Thank you.
That was professional. Thank you for listening to the Wheel of Time Spoilers podcast. Please rate and review us on your podcast app, and consider supporting us on Patreon for ad-free episodes. What Spoilers is a production of Fox and Raven Media. For more podcasts from Fox and Raven Media, visit our website at foxandravenmedia.com.